If you've been around in the FNAF community for a while, or have even searched FNAF on eBay before, I'm sure you've come across these guys, the FNAF Mexican Bootlegs. And while they may seem very silly, like funny bootlegs on the surface, there's nothing really too awful about them, they're just kind of funny little fellas. No, wrong. These bootleg FNAF figures are probably some of the absolute sketchiest things to come out of this franchise. Nobody knows where they come from, nobody knows who makes them. They tend to give off these awful, stinky fumes, almost like they're toxic. Some people have said it leaves a burning sensation in their nostrils and eyes. There is something very wrong up with these figures, and I'm gonna try my best to get to the bottom of it in this video. And at the end of the video, I'm gonna buy one of these guys and perform a lead test on them to find out if they are truly toxic. Yes, I am gonna expose myself to lead for this video. It's gonna be awesome. If you're wondering why a lead test specifically, it's because bootlegs commonly use very cheap and unsafe materials. A cheap material that these bootleggers love to use is lead paint. And yeah, it's illegal, but I mean, they don't care. So I've been thinking about this a bit. Maybe I'm just making too bold of a claim about these things. Maybe they aren't really so bad, and maybe they're not toxic at all. I haven't even seen them in person yet. Maybe I'm being too harsh, and if I am being too harsh, then you know what? If the lead test comes back negative, or if they don't, actually give off that awful fume, maybe I will review a full set of these guys. Yep, I'm gonna make that commitment. I said that. Where the heck do these things come from? Because I cannot find a solid answer. Let's just look at an eBay description of one of these guys, for example. Just to see, is there any evidence they'll give us directly? Alright, so let's see here. Item description from the seller. Don't miss this opportunity to get this Mexican figure made by unique and Mexican artisans. In the world starting an auction at a price of madness that you cannot pass. Good luck in your shopping. Figure toy made in Mexico. The figure is made of plastic. Very descriptive. The figure measures 8 inches. The figure has a light button. Standard economic shipping by Mexico Post. Fast shipping by DHL. United States and Canada. The third business days, bunch of shipping info. There's not much here. So looking on eBay, there are two sellers that I noticed most prominently selling these products. New Kaiser and Emalvido. If I'm butchering any of those, sorry. Now, New Kaiser actually has no description on eBay, but Emalvido does actually have a seller description, which reads, looking for replica or unique Mexico manufactured action figures, superhero, horror, video game, anime, ask me. eBay member since 1999, have a good day. Now that might not seem like it tells us a lot, but I do actually think that does tell us a lot, and that's that these eBay sellers aren't actually the people who are making these. In the description, they say that they're looking for them, which implies that they are just finding these at Mexican markets and then reselling them on eBay. So now we've concluded that one of the major sellers for these figures isn't actually related to the person who makes them. And if that's the case, I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that the other seller is the same situation. And the people who make these not directly selling their stuff online does make a lot of sense, considering that their operation is likely illegal and they don't want to be traced back to. Well, it's definitely illegal from a copyright point of view, but I'm just talking about if it's illegal, are they using illegal materials, just thought I should clarify that. So yeah, there's not much helpful we can get from eBay. And no matter where I look or how far I go, I can't seem to find a true answer as to who makes these. And I honestly don't think there is one, because if there was one, these people probably would not still be doing this. Now obviously there's all the stores in Mexico that do sell these directly, and those people probably kinda know who makes these, but at the same time, do they? They probably just get them from some random distributor. A distributor who is probably covering up who actually makes them. So I think getting a definitive answer on who makes these is probably an impossible task on my own and just through the internet. Now, in the process of looking, I did find a slight lead, which was on Amazon, which there is a listing that sells what appears to be the Mexican Bootleg Twisted Ones figures, but upon further inspection, I noticed something interesting. They have a brand attached to them, But when I look at the brand, it's clearly not something that's a Mexican toy producer. This is the kind of stuff clearly made by more of the AliExpress, Wish.com type of bootleggers. And then I look back at the pictures on the listing. Oh, these don't look like the actual Mexican bootlegs. They seem to have a different material and their paint seems different. That's because these are bootlegs of the Mexican bootlegs. A set of these Mexican FNAF bootlegs was copied by other bootleggers, which I think is really, really funny, but it's kind of useless to finding out who makes them. So yeah, this is kind of like a red herring that I found on the way, but I thought I'd share it because I think it's pretty funny. So now on to the next question about these. What the heck are some of these designs? Like, what is this based off?
Big kids that get a thrill out of making attractions like this one.
Yeah, go in and take a peek.
Some of the designs for these figures are genuinely, and I don't put this with any exaggeration, they are deranged. Like, let's just take a look at, let's say this one for example. This is a twisted golden Freddy with Bonnie's bow tie. A different design from the actual Twisted Freddy. He's got like, his eyes are like melting over, he's got like weird teeth, he's like sticking out, and he's holding a barbed wired bat. What is this? Where did they get this design from? Did they make it themselves? Did they steal it from somewhere else? Where could this who made this? Speaking of twisted animatronics, a big reason why these figures seem to focus so hardly on twisted animatronics, I think, is because of Funko didn't make twisted action figures. They only made Funko Pops and plushies and mystery minis. They never made action figures, which is something that a lot of people wanted back then. So then these bootleggers hopped in, they were like, hey, we made the twisted animatronics. So, and then they just like, they sold well, so now they're just like making more twisted animatronics, and they're still making more twisted animatronics. Like, here's a twisted Vanny, or a twisted Happy Frog holding a decapitated Bonnie head on a stick. Is Twisted Pig Patch not enough for you? Well, how about Dark Twisted Pig Patch with a mohawk and a giant saw blade? But then, next to all these deranged ones, you've also got some that actually look pretty good. Like this Vanny looks pretty good. This Freddy is pretty good. This Glamrock Freddy, he's got his recolored brothers. This puppet figure looks great. It's even got a base. This Glamrock Endo is shockingly detailed. I don't know why he comes with a tiny, uncolored Gregory figure, but, you know, he looks really good. They've also, a big thing that they've tackled is fan game characters, who also don't have action figures. And they made the whole Fiance at Candies cast, and then when those sold well, they made, variants like Chocolate Candy. Check this guy out. They made two different burn traps. They made this earlier burn trap, which looks, he looks a bit off. His legs are, I don't know why his legs are in that position, but, you know. Then they made a second burn trap later on, which looks a bit better, and he's also got a giant wrench for some reason. We got this four-armed Dreadbear abomination. I don't know what I'm looking at here. He's got a hook? Now, I do want to say, I think the original set of these has a lot of charm. Just like the designs of them, their sculpts are very off, and they obviously don't look the greatest, but I do think they have a lot of charm to them. They have a really cool feature of being able to remove their masks, which is a feature that the Funko figures don't have, but I think it looked really cool here, even if the endoskeletons aren't the most accurate. They got some weird features like their chest light, which all of these figures have, by the way. I haven't really mentioned it. All these figures have a light in them. I have no idea why. But they got opening jaws and stuff. They clearly have a lot more, like, depth than the Funko ones do, and I think that's really cool. We got Purple Guy's head, which is freaking hilarious looking. Alright, so I've bought a Mexican bootleg. I figured if I'm gonna only have one, and he's not actually toxic, if I'm only gonna have one, then I might as well make it one that'll fit in my collection well. So I chose this insane looking Dreadbear, which you probably saw earlier in the video. Specifically because if you don't know, I am the world's biggest So I figured if I want to get something, it has to be Dreadbear. So I got the Mexican bootleg figure of Dreadbear. And, you may notice, oh, why does he have 4 arms? They're stuck to the package. It's like sticky. Ew. I don't know what's going on there. He feels gross. Ew. He's got like this weird, like, grimy, slimy feeling. I'm definitely gonna wash my hands after I do this. Ugh. Let me give him a smell. Alright guys, so I've got some gloves, just to, you know, make this process a little less painful. So, yeah, let's get a good look at this guy. So, he's got a little, cap for his head, which is pretty cool. I wish the Funko one did this, actually. He's got a little, like, brain cap to cover up his brain, which I think is a pretty cool detail. All things considered, they did a decent job. It doesn't seem to... Yeah, it goes on alright. Yeah, he can wear it. There you go. His hat's on now. In the top of his head. Cool. I don't know why his head doesn't hinge open like it does in the game, because I feel like that would have made a lot more sense in his mouth, but the mouth is pretty cool. Good that it opens, I guess. It's pretty neat right there. The arms are articulated, the wrists will swivel, there's no elbow articulation. You see his chest here with a little speaker on it. You can actually take his chest off, which will reveal his endoskeleton, which is a very cool feature of these figures. Most of them have a removable mask, so you can see the endoskeleton face underneath, and a removable torso, but since Dreadbear opens the top of his head instead, he doesn't have an endo face, which I guess is understandable. You gotta pick one or the other, but, yeah, most of the figures, instead of, like, a little brain cap like Dreadbear has, it'd be a face thing that you pull off and you could see the endo face. The legs move forward and backwards. The paint job is honestly better than I would expect, especially with, like, the teeth and stuff. Better than I would expect from stuff like this. Pretty well painted, all things considered. All, like, the paint detail and everything, the sculpting and everything. It's not the worst thing in the world, gonna be completely honest. There's a lot of these figures that do look a lot worse than this one, but this one, all things considered, is pretty alright. Look at the back here. It says, BR on this back. I don't know what the BR stands for. And as you can see here, he is quite a bit different from the official Funko Dreadbear action figure. He is 4 times the price, so, I mean, in terms of bootleg, I don't really think, there's an advantage for buying him instead, because he's less accurate, and he's, like, 8 times more expensive. Again, he has all the extra features, but he also smells terrible, and, yeah, I wouldn't recommend this guy, gonna be completely honest, if you get an official Funko one, because he looks a lot better. So, yeah, but you can tell they definitely based it off the Funko mold more so than the actual Dreadbear character, at least for the colors. Yeah, that's a Mexican bootleg Dreadbear figure if I've ever seen one. Alright, so, I've never done one of these before. I got, some lead tests on Amazon, so, pretty cool. I have, it seems pretty self-explanatory. So we take the swab, I put water on it, and then I put it on Dreadbear over here, and it should give me a result. So using this crappy sink, and I'm wearing gloves to touch him because I don't know if he's safe. Even if he is safe, I don't want to... Honestly, I don't think, even if he doesn't have lead in him, there's probably something else unsafe in him, because, like, let me just smell again. Yeah. Alright, so, let's put Dreadbear in frame. There we go. It says on the side, it's simple. Wet swab with water, shake off excess liquid. After tab achieves mustard yellow color, promptly use the swab, rub surface for 30 seconds, rub swab tip for color change. Okay, well, that's probably good. This thing is, kind of intimidating. Yeah, let's probably get Dreadbear out of the sink before we turn on the water. That's probably preferable. Okay, I guess we'll do it here. Alright. And, rub surface for 30 seconds. Let's go for, down here. Like in his torso. We'll just do like all around him. So you can see on the box, the darker is lead and then the lighter is no lead. So to me, what this looks like is it's got not a lot of lead, but a little bit of lead. There's a little bit of lead in this guy. He's not like dangerous levels, but he does, I mean, if I'm being a complete idiot, please let me know in the comments, because I have no clue how to use these things. This is my first time ever having experience with them, but, if my eyes do not deceive me, I'm pretty sure this should mean that he's got that part's really dark. Hold on. That part's really dark. That part's definitely towards the lower ranges. I think it's very safe to say this guy's got a little bit of lead in him. Here's a more like close-up shot I took afterwards of like the actual scale. I was just in the front of the box, but this the same colors anyway. You can see it's definitely a bit more like leaning towards like the middle, so I'd say that means it probably has a little bit of lead. And then I'm gonna do a control in a bit, so let's go to that. Now it's next morning. Now this thing is dry. I noticed that the tip is like very, very clearly on the darker side. I don't know if that means anything when it's dry, but it is something I noticed. So interesting. But I'm gonna be doing the same thing to a Funko Dreadbear as sort of control for the experiment to see how similar the results are. Because if this guy contains lead, then what this guy comes out should be significantly lighter than what that guy had. So let's test it out. Alright, so now we're going to take a brand new swab and we're going to put it in there. We're going to shake it off. And now we are going to put it on this guy for 30 seconds. So let's do like his back, because that's probably an easy place to do it for. Right, 30 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Alright, so I think it's safe to say that the other Dreadbear did indeed contain a bit of lead, because this thing has come back with absolutely, like, no color changes, which means that, come on, focus, come on. There we go. Oh, okay, fine. Do it! Focus, come on. There. But you can see it came back with, like, okay, this stupid camera. Alright, you can see this thing has, like, barely any color changes, which, to me, should indicate that it probably doesn't have anything in it. And considering the other figure did give color changes, I think our results are pretty clear. So yeah, I was not being too harsh. These things are actually toxic, so, good to know. So if you have any of these guys, be careful. Do not, chew on them. Inhale the fumes on them. Keep them in an enclosed space. Make sure to wash your hands after using them. Or touching them and stuff. But, yeah. That's my advice to you. So, what's the moral lesson of this video? Sketchy bootlegs are indeed sketchy, and you should always be cautious about them. So now that I've found out that these guys contain lead, I don't have to buy a full set of them like I agreed. So, that's pretty awesome, because I didn't want to, these things, I'm scared of them. I'm gonna be honest, I am scared of them, and knowing that they actually have lead in them makes me even more scared.